about Aراנו, Neflאות. What is this idea of the wonders and miracles that we will have when we go out of the final goals, and we compare it to going out of Mitzrayim? We said that if it's going to be such great wonders when we go out of the final goals, and it's going to be so much greater, and it's going to be the Gula Shlem, etc. So if so, why do we have to remember Yitzias Mitzrayim? Like the Neflאות ben Azariah, we have in the Agada, we're going to speak about it on Pesach, that we still have to remember Yitzias Mitzrayim, not the Neflאות ben Azariah, but the Chachamim Maimrim, Kol Yemei Chayecha, all the days of your life comes to teach you. All the days of your life comes to teach you that we have to remember Yitzias Mitzrayim during these days. That even when Mashiach comes, we also have to remember our going out of Mitzrayim. The question is, why is there a necessity to remember our going out of Mitzrayim when Mashiach comes? If when Mashiach comes, it's going to be nifla'os, it's going to be greater wonders than what we went through by Yitzias Mitzrayim. And we went on to explain, this is also connected with the question, the issue of k'mei tzeis Meretz Mitzrayim. Why is it in the plural? It says, L'mantiskos yom tzeis Meretz Mitzrayim. Zochres yom. Why does it say Yemei in the plural? What's the plural? Because in truth, it's all the Geulas began with Geulas Mitzrayim. Just like Geulas Mitzrayim concluded with the Geula that happened with the Matan Torah, that then they became totally Bnei Chodim. Same thing, we said that you have the entire process every single day in Geulas that we are going through now until Mashiach comes, is really all a process of going further and further in another stage of Yitzias Mitzrayim, another stage of Yitzias Mitzrayim, because that's the obligation to remember Yitzias Mitzrayim every single day. The remembering of going out of Mitzrayim every single day is about transcending and going out of whatever Meitzarim and Gvulim we were in yesterday. So the first day, Pesvav Nisan, when we went out of Mitzrayim in the year 2448, that was one stage of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Tezayin Nisan 2448, we went out of a further Mitzrayim. And so on every single day, we're going out of more Mitzrayim and more Mitzrayim until there's no Mitzrayim left. Uparatzta, Mashiach is from the descendants of Peretz. It bursts forth, it breaks through all barriers. There are no more Mitzrayim Vigvulim, which is Mashiach's time. That's why he's descending from Peretz, breaking through all of these. And we also compared it that in our own lives, there is the stages in every single day of the initial state, Yitzias Mitzrayim, and then there's similar to Mashiach's time. What's the difference? What happened when Eden first went out of Mitzrayim? It was in the way of his kafir. They only were able to subjugate and sublimate the Nefesh Bahamis. That's why it was Kibbara Ha'am, that they had to run away. Then there was the idea of the Sfiras HaOmer, because they had to get every single stage further to bring the Nefesh Bahamis along with the process. It wasn't just enough what they went out of Mitzrayim, that they had the Iskafia. And an ultimate state of Ishapcha will be when Mashiach comes, because that's when it says that all the nations will serve the Eibishter. Not only all the nations, but even the animals that are wild animals will now not be wild anymore. And even the serpent, who's the epitome of evil, will become transformed to a great servant of Hashem. So that's Ishapcha. So the Mashiach's time is the time of Ishapcha. The same thing by a person. Initially, during the day, in the morning when he gets up, that we're talking about that a person is still in the state of being, his nefesh elokis is not yet expanded in his entire body, and since his nefesh elokis is not yet expanded in his entire body, he's still in a very in a very limited state. And then as he progresses, he goes to a level of Libichol Bekirbi, he empties out his heart from Zav Shabamis, and he transforms his heart from negative to good. So if we are now seeing the reflection of Mitzrayim and the Geula Asida as the Avodah of Iskafia versus Hapcha, so then that in a way adds more fuel to the question that we asked earlier. How do we remember when we're in a state of Ishapcha, when Mashiach is going to come, it's going to be Efek Lam, Safa Baruda, that everything will be transformed to good? What idea is the remembrance of Yitzias Mitzrayim? Now we have to remember, we're saying the daily and the generational remembrance of Yitzias Mitzrayim is about, because each one of us has to go through this level of Iskafia and breaking out of boundaries. And what we broke out of boundaries yesterday is not enough today, because today there's further boundaries that we have to break out of it, so on. But when Mashiach comes, it can be already Ishap. What need will there be to break out of the boundaries, and which is the whole purpose of the memory of Yitzias Mitzrayim, that when Mashiach comes, there won't seemingly be any need for Iskafia, no purpose in Iskafia. That's essentially the question that he's going to address now towards the end of the mind. And the approach is going to be a very interesting approach, that despite the idea of Mashiach's times being as hapcha, there'll still be a concept, an idea of Iskafia, and that is why we have the Laman Tiska Shem Tzeichmar Tzrayim Klai Mechaya. Let's see it inside. We're holding a Vav page Mem Aleph, the 7th page of the copies. The name after the Bechinas is Hapkahi, the Chlolis Nilis Harbi Yoisin bin Iskafia, though the level of transforming the Klippa is in general much higher than the level of only sublimating the Klippa, which is often also in Tanya. Ishapka is identified with Avodah the Tzaddik. The Tzaddik is not the Oived Elokim, like we speak about the word of Avodah. He has the Mile of Ishapka. The Beinani, he faces the challenge of Iskafia. So Tzaddik is higher, the Beinani is lower. Yet, despite that, Afal became Yesh Mile of B'chinas Iskafia, L'gal B'chinas Ishapka. That's practically speaking why Taka, the Hashem created most of us with a neshama of only having the capability to reach a level of a Beinani. As we know from Tanya, that he says, Barasa Tzadikim, Barasa Rishoyim. What does that mean? Not that Hashem did not give us freedom of choice, but rather, the Alter Rebbe explains, you made neshamas that are equipped to be tzaddikim, that they do not have to battle the Yetzer Hara. They are able to transform the Nefesh Habahamis in totality, whereas you made neshamas that are like Rishoyim, that are in a state where they have to constantly battle. And the vast majority of neshamas are the neshamas of the Beinim, those that are like Rishoyim, that have to battle and do Iskafia. Why did he make the majority of them the Beinim, the Iskafia? Because that is something that Hashem derives extra pleasure from. The marshal that Chassidus always brings is from the Tzipram Daberes, that when a person wants to influence the king and bring the king pleasure and joy, he brings him a talking bird, a parrot, etc. A human being can speak so much better, but there's a chiddush. A bird talking is a big chiddush. A tzaddik to serve the Eibishter is not a chiddush. Beinani to serve the Eibishter needs to bend and sublimate his nefesh habahamis. That's a chiddush. So this kafia has a great quality and advantage over his hap, who can move him much closer to Tanya, like it's also understood from what it says in Tanya. The Indian Oived Elikim who dafke kishu kaifim mishana teva shaloi. What is considered someone that is a servant of Hashem? That's someone that bends and he changes his nature. Like the person that learns 101 times, because the custom was to learn in those days 100 times to review, to be able to memorize. Everything's well peh. So they learned 100 times to memorize, but that person that goes ahead and learns it 101st time, and he's going beyond the norm, going beyond the habit, he is called an Ovid Olakim, even though the other person is also good and righteous. He's learning 100 times. Still in all, he's not called an Ovid Olakim. So we see the one that does his skafia, the one that bends himself, sublimates enough Shabbamis, he's called an Ovid Olakim. This advantage of being an Ovid Olakim, this idea of sublimating Nefesh Habahamis is not to be found in Tzadik Gomer. And to such a degree, the Alter Rebbe is being medayik in the expression of the Zohar, that the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Rebbe always brings down in Basar Legani, by they have avoided the iskafia daf. The expression in the Zohar is kadiskafia sitra achar istali yikar d'b'shabrichu b'chol. It doesn't say when ishapcha sitra achar, then istali yikar d'b'shabrichu. The term that the Zohar uses is when the Sitra Achra is this skafia, is this sublimate. That's when the glory of Hashem will rise up in all the worlds. And the idea that says istalik, like the Rebbe always explains, instead of nimshach, is to show amshach is v'gilu ershu b'chinas reimus, the drawing down the revelation of light that's in an exalted type of light, not a light that's a light of the world. The Melula, like it's explained at length in the Hemshech of Mamorim of Yud Shvat, Mashlas of a Melch Bas Radam, metaphor for this from a human king, Bishvil Netzach, Namacham Mevazis, Kalaitz, right? So, sake of the victory in the war, he expends and gives out all of his treasures in a way of bizbuz. Bizbuz means without any calculation, he just gives it away. It's not like, okay, we'll give some over here. Bizbuz is without any type of consideration for the expense whatsoever. The Bishanim Kitikunam, when everything is running normally, when there's no war, no threat, not only does the king not use these treasures that he inherited from his forefathers for any purpose, they are closed and sealed from the eyes of any person in that could see it. These treasures are hidden away. No one gets a chance to even look at them. Specifically during the war. Not only does he open up all the treasures, even more so. He expends them and gives them away without any measure and boundary. He gives them to the soldiers. He gives them to the army to be able to be victorious in the war. What's the nimshal for this? Nimshal for this is the example of this above. There is a treasure that is closed off, hidden, and sealed that no one ever sees. It says that no eye has seen it, Hashem, except for you. It's only something that Hashem himself knows and sees. To be able to be victorious in the war with the Yetzer Hara, avoided the skafia, which is a skafia is the war. There's no war anymore. So every single iskafi that we're doing, that is the war. That's and the person that's doing the skafi, he is the foot soldier. He is the army that is doing this war. Able to accomplish a skafia, we are also given this treasure. And how are we given this treasure? In a way without calculation, without any accounting. Just he gives it all away. And who is it given to? And who is the treasure given to? The ordinary soldiers, the ordinary army soldiers that are down in the fight, in the mud, etc., etc. How come? Why did they get it more than anyone else? Since their avoid isn't self-sacrifice. Beyond the measure and the boundary of intellect, because they have self-sacrifice. They are willing to give up their lives for the king. Because they are giving away their all. They are completely committed. they have no holdbacks. Therefore, the giving of the treasure to them is in the way of expending without any type of measure and boundary. And this is the quality that we're saying that there is in iskafia over ishap, that the ones that are doing iskafia, those are like the people that are giving away this treasure, that I'm sorry, like the people for whom the treasure is giving away, because they are the ones that are actually having self-sacrifice and total devotion in the war. Well, Pisa, according to this, based on this special quality of iskafia, it will be understood why Yitzias Mitzrayim will also be mentioned when Mashiach comes. Seemingly, what like the expression is in the Gemara, B'chlal Masai Mana, within 200 you have 100. If you have already the level of Ishapcha, why mention the Ring of Iskafia? Afshagiluim the loss of Lovahim Nailim Yosef. Niflois Magiluim Shoybitzias Mitzrayim, though the revelations of the future time are much higher. They are considered wonders, even in comparison to the wonders of Mitzrayim. Like we said, the second shot of Kemei Tzeitzch Mitzrayim Aran Niflois, it's not just that the wonders will be similar to, but if you compare the wonders of Mashiach's times to what took place in Mitzrayim, even someone that went through and saw all the miracles of Mitzrayim would say, wow, I'm blown away by what's going on by Mashiach's times. So, which is because Ishapcha is so much greater and so much higher spiritually than Iskafia. Still in all, why would there be a need to mention the Yitzias Mitzrayim? Because the drawing down to the level of treasure is specifically for the victory in the war. When Mashiach comes, there won't be any battle with Yetzer Hara, because the spirit of Tumah will remove from the land, which we said that's similar to the level that my heart is empty within me, no negative forces to fight with. Even when Mashiach comes, we'll mention Yitzias Mitzrayim, so we should also have the advantage of Iskaf. Drawing down that level of treasure, which only comes for the army soldiers, for the ones that do self-sacrifice. Therefore, it's necessary to mention the Iskafia. Therefore, it's necessary to bring that down, which is interesting. He doesn't really explain in what way there will be the Iskafia, since practically there won't be a need of Ruach HaTumah to be having the Iskafia for. I'm reminded, I believe we learned this in a mimer, but there's an amazing word that the Rebbe says about the tzaddik. It's also in the Mugga mimer of the Rebbe from Arsh Mishpatim, that the Rebbe says that it says in the Gemara that a person that is not a Baal Tshuva, he's supposed to say, I would like to, let's say, eat non-kosher. What should I do? But I have to do it because Hashem told me not. The Rebbe explains an amazing thing, that even a tzaddik, the Gemara is talking to every yid, except for, we said, someone that fell through it, he has to do other things. But a tzaddik, the Gemara is telling him he has to say efshi. We know the tzaddik in Tanya doesn't have the efshi. He doesn't want to eat non-kosher. He doesn't have any taivas. Still in all, he says efshi. And this is Torah's emes telling him that he has to say efshi. The Torah of truth is telling me he has to say efshi. I could eat it. So the Rebbe says an amazing thing in that mimer, that the tzaddik, so he should also be able to have the advantage of his skafia. He has to inspire and awaken in himself this feeling of interest and want to eat the not kosher. So you should be able to have the iskafia part. So I'm not sure if it's identical over here, that he's going to want to eat not kosher, but there's some type of way of iskafia that we're going to tap into even when Mashiach comes, so we should be able to have this great quality that iskafia has over ishap. Perhaps it's an iskafia in going higher and higher and good, where the person, let's say, is doing 100%, and he's doing iskafia again to go up to 110%, like the guy that learns 100 times and he reviews it 101st time. He could go ahead. He's not stopping from learning. He's still learning, but he could be learning something new. But he does iskafia in the good to be able to learn something again, just to be able to have the iskafia, not to have like the enjoyment of doing the good. But yet, it will be immediately in a state of reward. The Rebbe goes on to say, "V'gamam shachazu," also drawing down this level of the iskafia of Mashiach's times, he will be in the ultimate revelation. Now, when we do iskafia, it's not something revealed. We're going to have to wait, delayed gratification until Mashiach comes. When Mashiach comes, when we do the iskafia, it's going to be right away. We're going to see that revelation of the oitzer, the great quality of the iskafia. Like all matters of Mashiach's times, that's a revelation that your master will not be concealing himself anymore. Any questions before we go on? Bottom of the 7th page, Oizai. So, Kime Tzatech Meretz Mitzrayim Aram Neflois. That's what it means. Like your days going out of the land of Mitzrayim, I will show you wonders. Meaning, we are putting together both Geulas, Mitzrayim, which we said the Geulam and Mitzrayim, we said is the source for all eventual Geulas that will be, including the Geula Asida, but it will still be connected and associated and having some type of mind and heart connection with the Geula from Mitzrayim. The Geula Asida, you based on Milas in the future redemption, there'll be both qualities. A Mila Diskafia, there'll be the advantage and quality of sublimating the clip. Like your days going out of the land of Mitzrayim, that is indicating, like then we had the Mila of Iskafia, so too when Mashiach comes, that we're comparing it to that time. And also we'll have a Mila, top of the last page, this Hapcha, of the Mila of transforming Klippa, that's the Aránu Neflאות. I will show you wonders, meaning I will show you something greater even than what you had in Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim was only Iskafia. When Mashiach comes, you'll also have Ishaq, which is again the two pirushim in the words Aránu Neflאות. Either the wonders of Mashiach's times in the simple type will be like the wonders of Yetzias Mitzrayim, meaning we'll have Iskafia, or the wonders of Mashiach's times will be wondrous even in comparison to the time when you went on Mitzrayim, which is the mile of Ishaq. They must say over the same as Mana Golos through our actions and service during the time of Golos. The general avoid the time of exile, way of self-sacrifice beyond measure and boundary. Because during the time of Golos, the Mashiach, especially in the heels of Mashiach, there are obstacles and there's delays and there are many tests. Till the test of not to be embarrassed in front of people that are scoffing it. The Rebbe explains in other places, we think about who had the real tests. Well, in previous generations, they were in Russia and they were during the Holocaust, and this and that and other. And we talk about all these tests. The Rebbe focuses and says in a certain way the test of our generation, where we have to face those that poke fun at Yiddishkeit, is in ways more difficult and more of a self-sacrifice than then. Afal became still no, Amos Kashim, Kolomani is still no, we do not take in consideration all the obstacles. We learned in Torah, Mekayim mitzvahs, we study Torah fulfill mitzvahs without any type of calculations, which is the idea of self-sacrifice, devotion. Even those that are empty amongst you, meaning they're seemingly, we're calling them on one hand empty of Torah mitzvahs, they are filled with mitzvahs like a pomegranate that's filled with seeds. And the Rebbe says, the emphasis is over here, not just that they fulfill mitzvahs, but the loydach mekayim mitzvahs, not only do they fulfill mitzvahs, ela shehem meleim mitzvahs. They are filled with mitzvahs. What's the unique aspect of the seeds of a pomegranate fruit? There is no other fruit that I'm aware of that's entirely seeds. It's except for the peel, everything else is seeds. That's the entire fruit. The same thing when we are bringing an example for people that are quote unquote empty, rekonim, we are saying they're filling up all the space with their mitzvahs. So through that, doing Torah mitzvahs in the time of Golus, it says that the Yidden went out of Golus, Mitzrayim, with a great wealth. The Rebbe explains that the great wealth is because even, like we said, the Rekonim are filled with mitzvahs. They're going out with a great wealth of mitzvahs and a great wealth of Torah. Now, the great wealth of Torah is connected with this great wealth of mitzvahs. The Rebbe says in the brackets, the Gam Talmud Torah mitzvah, because also Torah study is a mitzvah. Va'adrab, and even more so, Ishkol connect call mitzvahs. The mitzvah of Talmud Torah is equal to all the mitzvahs. So those that study Torah, obviously it's called filled with mitzvahs. Since the very fact that they have a great wealth of Torah mitzvahs, that adds in the Eden's merit. This also adds the speeding up in what we're saying already, that I will rush them out of Golus in such a way that, behold, they will be there as fast like clouds, just fly through the sky speedily. In other words, we will come out of Golus. That speedily mamish will be the true and complete redemption. In the Kemei says, and Neflאות, like the days, in the manner like the days going on in the land of Mitzrayim, I will show you wonders. Based on miles, will be both qualities and advantages. The Mekiv and Shaguli, I am saying over the same as Managol, since the redemption is through our actions and service in the time of exile, Ubafrat, because of the Mashiach, especially in the heels of Mashiach, that is the avoida that is going to push it through to the Geulam. Therefore, we'll have the advantage of Iskafia because we have to deal with the scoffers and the difficulties at the end of exile. Along with the advantage of Iskafia, there'll also be, I will show you wonders. There will be wonders even in comparison to the wonders, the signs and miracles that were when the Eden went on Mitzrayim. Including Gam and Neflאות Shoy-Beis Kriyas Yamsuf. It will be considered, the wonders of Mashiach's times will also be considered even wondrous in comparison to the wonders that took place during the splitting of the sea. Though by the splitting of the sea, there were very great revelations. Every single person would point with his finger and showing, this is my God, and I will adore and glorify him. Until even a maidservant saw by the sea that even the greatest prophets did not see. In it calls all of this was still limited. It was only by the sea, which spiritually the sea denotes the level of Malchus. We spoke about earlier in the Maimer that by Yitzias Mitzrayim, the Chamishim Shari Bina was only the way the 50 gates of Bina came down into Malchus, as opposed to the 50 gates of Bina that will be revealed when Mashiach comes, that will be part of Atik. Similar to the revelation of going on Mitzrayim before the splitting of the sea, that was on the doorway, and we said the doorway that's going on Malchus. So both the actual going on Mitzrayim and 7 days later Kriyas Yamsuf was still, all the revelations were going through Malchus. Another thing, how even Kriyas Yamsuf is not quite like the Gula Asidah, Also, the revelation of Kriyas Yamsuf was only temporary. Because the revelation of the splitting of the sea was only from above, and us down here below were not vessels for this. The Bechlolus, that's happened. In general, it's the idea of sublimating the klippa and not transforming it, because it wasn't a keli, you had to force it. Similar to going on Mitzrayim, that it was such a way that the nation ran away. Since it did not come because, and as a result of the service down here below. But in the future, when Mashiach comes, I will show you wonders. Niflois, Gamba Erecha Niflois, Shoyabitias, Mitzrayim, Kriyas Yamsuf. There are wonders also in comparison to the wonders that were in Yitzias Mitzrayim and the splitting of the sea. First of all, there won't be a garment. Like by the sea, it was the level of Malchus. Here, there won't be a garment of Malchus. And also, it will be greater because of Gamet Sadamata, because it will also be from the perspective of below. It won't be in the way of Iskat. Yachadim Zeh. Along with this, Yagama Mila there'll still be the Mila of the Iskapia of like your days going on the land of Mitzrayim, like we've been saying the last two paragraphs. Hey, remain a mamish, speedily in our days, mamish, Rabbi Mashiach Tzidkenu, the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu.